After we established the sacred spider sect, we decided to have Endura as the core strength. Wait a minute, what you just said doesn't seem to be included in our cooperation, does it? I grabbed Endura's hand. This act made Endura a little shy. Don't refuse so quickly. Don't you want to take the opportunity to retaliate against the goblins? A shy Endura shook off my hand. What do you mean? When I told her that as long as the sacred spider sect stood firm, then you can deal with those goblin believers at will. And Endura seemed to think that what I said made sense. She has already started fantasizing about how to retaliate against those goblins at that time. But her thoughts are not that simple. Endura is still thinking about how to use those believers to lift her contract magic. Her life magic can extract a small part of life force. So as long as there are enough people, she can accumulate enough power to lift the magic. But how could her little thoughts deceive me? I have already seen her little thoughts clearly through the panel prompt. She is still thinking about how to lift the contract magic even now. So we reached cooperation with each other, each with our own secret agenda. At this time, Lin Xiaoyun expressed doubts about the plan. According to the information previously collected, the Goblin Kingdom is dominated by a single religion. Brainwashing and control of the people have taken deep root. Our new sect's involvement may be directly eradicated as a heretical sect. Lin Xiaoyun had just finished speaking when Endura immediately said, if you want to expand your influence, your target might be set in the lower district. The lower district? What place is that? We asked in unison. Endura then set her stance to explain to us. Within the Goblin Kingdom, there is a wide gap between rich and poor, divided into the upper district and the lower district. Goblins living in the upper district are all rich or noble, while the goblins living in the lower district are only treated as nourishment for the upper district. The goblins in the lower district have always been oppressed by the royal temple on the edge of life and death, so they are easily attracted by new beliefs. After saying this, Endura had a look of triumph on her face. After all, she wasn't idle during the years she was imprisoned by the goblins. I plan to sneak into the city while this substitute pill is still effective, so I split up with Lin Xiaoyun and the others. As long as the progress bar of the mission grows, it means I've caused a big commotion in the city. But I searched the city for a long time and had no idea where the entrance to the lower district was. Endura only knew about the existence of the lower district, not how to get there. At this time, Little Chirp's sister suddenly reacted. She seemed to have smelled something special, a corrupt scent that was out of place with this city. Under Little Chirp's sister's guidance, we successfully found the entrance to the lower district. It really took quite a while to get here. Looking at the appearance of the lower district, it indeed matched what Endura described. At this moment, the scene in front of me caught my attention. All the goblins ahead had gathered together. In the center of the crowd, a goblin was whipping an old goblin. The surrounding goblins were all so frightened that they dared not move. No one dared to step forward to stop it, just because these goblins didn't gather enough atonement tickets. They were beaten. At this moment, a female goblin came forward. Her daughter was sick. The temple shaman said that if she gathered 10 atonement tickets, she could pray to the god to heal her daughter. But even after gathering enough, the temple shaman simply said, "Your child is sinful. 10 atonement tickets are not enough," and brushed her off. Hearing this, the last glimmer of hope in the goblin mother's heart was shattered. But at this moment, the goblin temple shaman had another thought. He took a liking to this goblin mother. A wicked thought rose in his heart. He told the goblin mother to come to the temple to find him. He would pray for the goblin girl himself, but this prayer was taxing and laborious. It required the goblin mother's consent. He told her to think about it and then come to the temple to find him. Everyone heard the meaning behind his words. But this is the fate of the lower district goblins. What right do they have to choose? They have used up all their strength just to survive. An old goblin woman also came to persuade the mother to give up, but it's her daughter. How could she bear to do that? Even if there was only a glimmer of hope. At that moment, I appeared before them. This was the opportunity one had been waiting for to attract believers. I blessed them in the name of God's messenger. I unleashed Endura's healing magic. I proclaimed to them that this was the sacred spider's response to their plea. I was to perform a miracle and bestow the healing sacred fire. A green flame instantly surrounded the goblin girl's body. The surrounding goblins thought I was going to harm her, mobilizing the villagers and ready to attack. But they were immediately stopped by the old goblin woman. Under the effect of Endura's healing magic, the girl's injuries were visibly healing at a rapid pace. Watching her daughter's injuries heal, the mother's tears flowed uncontrollably. At this moment, the system panel lit up before my eyes again. Erode faith starting from the lower district. Make the goblins lose faith in the temple. Reward of 100 chaos points and 100 credits. It turned out that making them lose faith in the temple could also increase chaos points, so the first appearance of this life flame could not falter. I then had Endura project magic in the pattern of a spider, showing these lower district goblins a new sect. Under the effect of the healing magic, the girl's injuries were healed in no time. The goblin mother excitedly held her daughter in her arms. I never thought I would actively save goblins one day. The reward I wanted was not much, just obediently become a model for me to gather more faith points. After performing the healing spell in front of the lower district goblins, even if my substitute pill wears off, the healing spell I cast has already been seen as a miracle by them. I blessed them in the name of the Sacred Spider Sect, instantly arousing their worship. Afterwards, they arranged temporary accommodation for me. After all, if I wanted to continue staying in the city, I needed a place to stay. At that moment, a demon crystal suddenly fell from the female goblin who was cleaning my dwelling. At first, I didn't recognize what it was, only to hear the goblin tell me this was a piece of ore she obtained while mining. In my shadow, Endura suddenly reacted to this demon crystal. It seemed she was signaling me to keep this demon crystal, but the goblin saw my interest in this demon crystal and gave it to me directly. After the goblin left, Endura immediately showed interest in the demon crystal. I helped you so much. It's not too much to ask for a reward, right? I want that demon crystal in your hand. It's useless to you humans anyway. At this point, I saw a prompt on the system panel. It seems that this demon crystal is quite important to her, but I had no intention of just giving it to her. Maybe I could use it too. Seeing that I wouldn't give it, Endura became angry. She pushed me to the ground. Don't joke around. It's only uses to carry magical power and increase endurance during combat. I hurriedly called Little Chirp's sister to stop her. Listening to her, this ability to carry magical power is just what I need. Let's make a deal. You help me one more time. The next demon crystal mined by these believers will be yours. How about that? But Endura didn't quite trust my words. Since being forceful won't work, I'll try a softer approach. Dear Endura's sister, how can you bear to refuse someone as weak and pitiful as me? After all, I am the soft rice king. Can I win you over like this? Although Endura's attitude was somewhat resistant at first, she finally surrendered under my handsome scheme. I asked her to help carve a magic circle on the demon crystal. I drew the shape of the magic circle on the ground, but when Endura saw the magic circle, she said it wouldn't work. I asked her why. She said that this magic circle was similar to the one used in the cave before. It absorbs energy, then condenses and transforms it. She truly understands magic. She deduced its function from just one magic circle, but she also said, this magic circle can't work on this demon crystal, because the demon crystal is like a container. This demon crystal is too small. It can't carry the magical power that this circle would bring. She was able to become a container in the magic circle at the beginning, because of her own strong vitality to withstand it. At this time, Endura picked up a stone to demonstrate. If you forcibly carve a magic circle on this demon crystal, in just 15 minutes, this demon crystal would be burst by magical power, leaving nothing behind. I didn't expect the magical principles of this world to be so strange, but quite reasonable. Endura said, if you want to carry the magical power of this magic circle, you would need at least 4 demon crystals as big as me. Just then, a goblin came to bring me food. Looking at the food the goblin brought, it's obviously not something humans can eat. I felt that one bite would kill me on the spot. Just as the goblin was serving me food, a sudden explosion sounded from outside. We hurried out. All the goblins were attracted by the explosion. The problem occurred far from here, but I didn't expect it to affect this place. We saw a plume of black smoke coming from the mining area. The goblin wanted to go and check the situation, because there were others inside. Many of his kind might be injured. I stopped her at that moment, asking her to take me with her. If I could perform miracles at this time, then there would surely be more believers. But before leaving, I still needed to conceal my appearance, and went to the mine to check the situation. Great Sacred Spider, please save him. If you can heal my big brother, I'm willing to be your most devout follower. Just by healing these injured goblins, they will become the most devout followers of the Sacred Spider Sect. In just a short time, I had already gained 39 followers, but Endura was always harboring ulterior motives. Every time she healed a goblin, she would extract part of their life force for her own use, always thinking about how to accumulate magical power to break the contract. Although she healed those goblins, it was clearly evident that they had aged. But I don't care about these. After all, it's the ancient god's contract magic. Even if she accumulates a lot of magical power, she won't be able to break it. After healing hundreds in one go, I let Endura go back to rest. At this point, I saw from the system panel that although our group had gained 100 chaos points, ranking first, it only advanced 0.01% of the progress. Doesn't this mean I need 1,000,000 chaos points to fill the chaos progress? Just then, a female goblin suddenly barged in. Lord Divine Envoy, quickly hide with me. It turned out that goblins from the Bone Gang were here to collect protection money. I curiously asked, don't you all worship the temple here? Why is there a Bone Gang? It turns out that there's not just the temple in this lower city district. In this lower district, in addition to the temple, there are 3 gangs. Apart from the temple, the United Gang is the largest. There are also the Bone Gang and the Female Hero Association, and the Bone Gang is in charge of this jurisdiction. Today, the boss of the Bone Gang came in person. and this goblin holding a pipe is the boss of the Bone Gang. At this moment, I was surprised to find this goblin's armor was actually inlaid with a demon crystal. I saw the boss of the Bone Gang, because of the mine collapse, put all the losses on the goblin miners this time, crushing the head of one of the goblins with his hand, immediately dumbfounding the surrounding goblins. The boss of the Bone Gang didn't care about the lives of these goblins. In his eyes, nothing was more important than money. However, the system also prompted, he seems to know the source of the demon crystal. It looks like I have to quietly follow him to find the source of the demon crystal. Sneaking behind him shouldn't be too dangerous. He left a few subordinates here to supervise the goblins in cleaning up the mine. Then he took the rest of his men to check the other mines. I greeted Carrie and told her to go back first. I had some matters to deal with. Then I stealthily followed the Bone Gang's boss. Following all the way, I found that the Bone Gang's boss, Bedru, was really wicked. At every mine, he would beat up any goblin he didn't like. Even the vendors in the lower district were subjected to his brutality. I also underestimated the size of this lower district. After tracking 2 caves in succession, I felt like my legs were going to break. But this third cave aroused my curiosity. Compared to the previous caves, this cave didn't even have a single goblin digging. This obviously was not right. Given this guy's obsession with money, why would he leave a rich vein unexploited? Unless the minerals in this cave were the demon crystals that couldn't be exchanged for redemption tickets. So they were unwilling to invest resources in mining. As for demon crystal, Endura is more knowledgeable. So I had Endura come out and take a look. I didn't expect her to still look half asleep. Disturbing lizard clear dream like this isn't the first or second time. If you can't give me a perfect explanation, I'll strangle you. I immediately told her that I might have found a demon crystal mine. Hearing about the demon crystal mine, Endura looked shocked. A demon crystal mine? How is that possible? Demon crystal is such a rare thing. But she seemed to also sense a trace of magic belonging to demon crystal in the cave. Immediately, she cast a spell. Rock lizards naturally have the ability to sense ley lines, directly detecting the entire scale of the underground demon crystals. I originally guessed that there would be many demon crystals in the cave, but after detecting it, I didn't expect there to be so many. Mother Earth, these ignorant creatures who don't understand the value of demon crystals, having such a large demon crystal mine on their territory, it's simply a waste of resources. According to the previous description of the cultivation system, if Spider Sister were to successfully upgrade, she could also have battle magic. Then at that time, couldn't I create a set of demon crystal equipment for her? However, the entrance to the cave is guarded by goblins. If there were only 1 or 2, it wouldn't be a problem, but if a group were summoned, it would be difficult to handle. Not only that, even if we obtained them stealthily, the subsequent construction work would be too large. If the Bone Gang found out during the crafting process, it would also be problematic. So the idea of stealing them secretly is no longer feasible. We need to think of a more foolproof method. But with our human wisdom of thousands of years, I soon thought of a good idea. On the way back, I had already outlined the plan. I asked Carrie to help me with something, to have the goblins make a statue of Sacred Spider, and to widely promote the miracle of the Sacred Spider sect healing the injured mining goblins. According to my plan, this matter would surely reach the ears of Bone Gang's leader, and when he saw the statue I prepared, the plan would already be halfway successful. It was a huge statue carved from demon crystal. Bedra learned of the existence of the Sacred Spider sect from his subordinates. This little thing can heal pain? The deed of the Sacred Spider sect healing the goblins had deeply touched people. The great shaman of the temple happened to be injured recently. Bedra planned to offer this as a gift. If he could cure the great shaman's illness, he could gain the attention of the great shaman. Tell me what reward you want. But before his subordinate could finish speaking, Bedru killed him outright. This is all my wealth. You really think you deserve it by being polite with me? You really don't know the rules. Bedru looked at his piles of ore. He was reluctant to use his wealth to build a statue to present to the great shaman, but he thought of the demon crystal mine he had discovered. These ores were useless to him. 10 days later, Bedru built a giant statue of Little Chirp Sister using the demon crystal mine and offered it to the temple. But the temple's messenger looked puzzled. Bedru immediately had his men demonstrate to the messenger the healing power of praying to the sacred spider. But the injured goblins prayed under the statue for a long time, and nothing happened. Is this the miraculous sacred spider that you said would heal? Before Bedru could explain, he was directly driven out of the temple by the messenger, and I was waiting for them in the shadows. If the temple has already abandoned you, why not consider collaborating with me? I appeared directly in human form before Bedru. Seeing a human appear, Bedru's eyes lit up. Go, tie him up. I want to take him to the shaman to gain favor. But I wasn't worried at all. I had Endura project the image of the sacred spider sect with magic, pretending to be a miracle, and it subdued them. The miracle of the sacred spider sect reappeared, directly intimidating the members of the Bone Gang. Even Bedru was shocked. But Bedru was very greedy. I claimed to them that collaborating with me could increase their wealth. That finally made Bedru waver a bit. I told him that I had a way to make the goblin miners work harder. Of course, I could also make them all turn against him. But Bedru was very arrogant, bragging shamelessly. As long as they had rebellious thoughts, he would kill each one he saw. I of course knew that he was ruthless and could do what he said. But if all the goblins in your jurisdiction rebel, could you kill them all? Bedru certainly didn't dare. If he killed them all, there would be no goblins left to mine for him. I knew he wouldn't dare. So of course, he had no choice but to cooperate with me. I had him placed a giant statue in front of the mining area. He asked in confusion what this was for. I am the messenger of Sacred Spider. Do you need to ask why a statue is made for Sacred Spider? Although Bedru was still doubtful at this moment, he did as I said. By early the next morning, the huge statue was already standing in front of the mining area. The goblins coming to work all noticed the statue. They immediately rushed to kneel and pray before it. It seems that now we just need to wait for the accumulation of faith power. Yesterday I had Endurus secretly hide behind the statue and carve a spirit-gathering array on the statue. Now we just need to wait for 10 days to absorb the power. Now, according to the messenger's request, those lowly creatures are worshipping the statue. Will the mining production double soon, as the messenger promised? This all requires a process. You need to have enough patience. After praying to the Sacred Spider sect for 7 days, the miners' output had not increased, causing Bedru to question. Now is the time when the statue is gathering power. You've waited so long. Are you going to abandon all previous efforts just because you have no patience? Give me 3 more days, and I guarantee you will see results. Under the temptation of profit, Bedru agreed to give us 3 more days. However, he had his subordinates watch me during these 3 days. But as long as we could buy time to gather power, that would be enough. When the time comes, letting Little Chirp's sister absorb the power in the stone statue would give us enough confidence to deal with Bedru. But unexpectedly, 3 days later, the power accumulated in the stone statue was not even 20%. It seemed that Bedru had sensed something and intentionally stopped his subordinates from worshipping. At this time, Bedru also rushed over, full of fury. Now that 10 days have passed, my mining production has not increased but decreased. It's time to settle this account. You were the one who first restricted your subordinates from worshipping the statue. How can you blame me for not keeping my promise? The reason why there's no movement now is that the power gathered is not enough. But this Bedru paid no heed to my explanation, and brandishing his giant axe, he charged with his followers. I had no choice but to first draw out the power from the stone statue, let Little Chirp's sister deal with his subordinates. Then I simultaneously launched the skills to boost morale and different forms, same divinity, seizing the opportunity to attack Bedru. But to my surprise, this all-out strike only scratched his surface. Indeed, being 2 levels higher was too much of a stretch. Bedru was furious and attacked Little Chirp's sister madly. Facing an opponent more than 2 levels higher, Little Chirp's sister was badly beaten. Luckily, Endura's healing magic was there to support, but under Bedru's intense attack, Little Chirp's sister's weapon snapped. It was over. Little Chirp's sister was seriously injured by Bedru. Now she was barely holding on. Even her weapon was broken. Even with Endura's healing magic, it couldn't hold out. Could it be that we were going to die at Bedru's hands today? After dealing with Little Chirp's sister, Bedru headed straight for us. Although we had Endura's healing magic, it couldn't withstand his blows. Just as Bedru's attack was inches away, I immediately snapped a stick of mesmerizing incense. This mesmerizing incense could hypnotize the opponent for 1 minute based on the difference in mental strength. Bedru, who was affected by the mesmerizing incense, knelt to worship the statue of Little Chirp's sister according to my instructions, immediately increasing the progress to over 20%. What happened? A minute later, Bedru woke up from the mesmerizing incense. What did you do to me? Want to know? I'll tell you after you die. Bedru, infuriated and defeated, rushed over. But at that moment, a sudden hidden weapon interrupted Bedru's action. It turns out that the seriously injured Little Chirp's sister had been healed by Endura. Not only that, the recently increased faith progress allowed Little Chirp's sister to level up to 2, and because her weapon was broken, she even gained a new skill. You can still stand up. Truly a deep master-servant bond. Why not first crush you, Little Spider? Who will be crushed is still unknown. Let him see what you've got. Little Chirp's sister. Little Chirp's sister immediately circled around Bedru at high speed, continuously covering Bedru with spider silk. Then she seized the opportunity to attack Bedru, but Bedru looked surprised. Even though he saw her movements clearly, he failed to block the attack. Thanks to you, Little Chirp's sister learned a new skill, Stagnation Spider Silk. As long as there's spider silk, agility will be halved. Even if you see the movement, you can't keep up. But Bedru was not afraid at all. So what? As long as I clear the spider silk, you will still die. But we wouldn't give him that chance. Little Chirp's sister instantly swung out countless blades, directly shattering Bedru.